What are the most critical technologies and practices that organizations should adopt to accelerate their pace of innovation and achieve greater agility?
So, one thing that I would like to just point out here is there's nothing like most critical technology. It's about what makes sense to you. Like I mentioned, right? It's not about copying what some other bank has done or some other organization has done. There are technologies out there. What does it, which are the technologies that I can really use? So this is something that we have to think. And I've spoken to a lot of CXOs who really don't understand, right? They think that, oh, Gen AI is cool. I want to do Gen AI. But when you start looking into where they are in terms of data maturity, you do see that there's a lot of maturity that's required in the way they maintain data, the way the data lineage is maintained, the ownership is maintained, the integrity of data is already done, because then you can actually feed it on to a lot more machine learning or Gen AI. It's just an example, right? But in terms of the most critical technologies, and I think organizations will leave or will be left behind, or they will feel that they're being left behind. One is definitely AI and machine learning, because I do think that data is a very funny animal, right? Even without you doing a lot of work, if you go for unsupervised machine learning, can actually point out fraud, it can point out outliers, it can point out anomaly detection. Just throw your data into some of these algorithms and you have insights. And if you're not doing that, you are losing out. That's just a simple example. Now, the other critical technologies, we're not talking about moonshot technologies. Of course, moonshot technologies, quantum computing, how great it will be if quantum the ability of quantum computing can combine with machine learning, because quantum computing is going to give you multitude times compute capability, right? If we crack it and if we get it right. And of course, we are not yet there, but we still have versions of quantum computer, which gives you enormous speed in terms of compute, right? You're getting 50 qubits already. Of course, there are fundamental issues out there. We need to sort out the material science issue. We need to sort out so many things that are happening in quantum. But what I mean is, it's not about chasing moonlight technologies. It's about really looking at what makes sense for us. And Gen AI has opened up a very big uh, opportunity window for everyone, because it allows you to do things that possibly we were not able to do before, right? And of course, these chatbots and like they just frustrate the customer. They never ever help the customer. But for once now, we are seeing very intelligent machines trying to really help with customer experience, improve the productivity, trying to build intelligence. You have, if you're in the healthcare industry, for example, a health scribe, if it sits listening to the conversation between a doctor and between the clinician and the patient, if it can summarize the discussions, and if it can actually give you an indication of what the first thing is, the documentation itself, yeah, because they say doctors work for 40% of their real productive time goes into documentation, because there's so much of documentation that they have to do. And if this big headache of this workload of documentation is taken away by, let's say, an AI assistant, it's a big relief for the doctors, because the doctors can then see a lot more patients. And I'm not saying this AI assistant take complete ownership. It's going to suggest something. It may even prompt what the diagnosis could be by looking at some of the X-ray reports or whatever. But the final call is taken by the doctor. But his life becomes much easier. So I can give a lot of examples. Education, for example, now with Gen AI, the creation of curricula itself can become much faster. Students can really have their own tutors, which can adapt to their own pace. So again, in terms of, if you see critical technologies, I would list probably three. One is AI and machine learning. Please, put your effort on it. There's a lot of things happening out there, but again, contextualize to your business need and use what makes sense for you. And people are just chasing what they hear rather get into some kind of expertise and again get into some kind of depth to understand what makes sense to you. The second big opportunity that I see, and that is actually making a difference now, is related to previously industrial IoT was a big thing because people were talking about IoT devices have been here for quite some time, but they were possibly used more in an industrial sense or in the supply chain. And but now it's touching people's lives. We have telco bringing in smart devices to the edge, and then B2C. So consumers trying to talk to machines on the edge. And then the cloud gives them an enormous capability of taking the intelligence of these different IoTs or edge devices, processing it in the cloud and giving it back to the consumer. So I think IoT is another big area, possibly that didn't make sense earlier, but because of compute at the edge being possible, it's one big area that you can definitely look at. And the third important piece that I would always refer to is in terms of looking at your own technology landscape and looking at the progression for it. So what I mean is it could be migration to the cloud, it could be adopting a hybrid model, but the services have become much, much improved now. What you had as monolithic architectures or data warehouse and had a database, uh, an OLTP structure, whatever, right? And I did a lot of plumbing in ETL. Those things have become very simple now. There's this concept of zero ETL, which means your data warehouse can talk to your source systems without you plumbing anything at all. And the changes in the source systems can be shown in the data warehouse almost in near real time. So there are a lot of changes that are happening in the core technologies. So please don't keep chasing AI and ML without getting the fundamentals right. Yeah. So your core operations. So this could be backend systems, or this could be what we call the system of records, or it could be the system of the middle layer, not the system of innovation, but keep a focus on the system of records and the system of differentiation. I would think that those are major areas that you should focus. And any area you take, if you take real time streaming, there's a lot of new technologies that have come out that will help you do this more cost effectively and in a better manner. So cost efficiencies will improve if we can actually adopt these modernization of the technologies.
Thank you. Oh my God. You already